to transform KAUST into a smart city and living lab. And as part of this journey, we created an application ecosystem called KAUSTCentral that basically has been a key enabler for all this journey, okay? So we want to talk to you about what we have done. Let me skip all this. Just fairly simple. Maybe you guys know a little bit about KAUST, but KAUST is a quite young university. It was created in 2009, so fairly young. I mean, we are a graduate university, so we only have master's and PhD programs. We don't have undergrad, right? And the research is the core of the university, right? So research in 5 areas, water, environment, energy, environmental, and digital domain is the latest one that has been added. So artificial intelligence, all these type of topics are now which is booming and what the university is trying to cover. We're a small university, but that doesn't mean that, we don't want to be number 1 in the Middle East region, let me put it like that, So for that, they're bringing the best faculties that they can in the world, and we want to be among the top universities in the world to be having those type of discussions. And for this, we're also having a state-of-the-art labs. So the facilities that we have in KAUST, including a supercomputer, are top-notch. I mean, right now we're in the process to renew the supercomputer that we have. That was in 2015. I think it was the number 7th in the world, and now we're going to come to the new one that we expect is going to be on the top 10 as well, right? So our as a focus, as I was mentioning, is our faculty has to be among the top in the world, and for that we make sure that they are among the most cited ones in the world, right? So these are some pictures about our campus. It's a beautiful place. Location-wise, we are located on the west coast of Saudi Arabia, in the shores of the Red Sea. So it's very nice. The weather is quite nice, even though that now it's a little bit hot, but the winters are just amazing in there. And 80 kilometers north of the city of Jeddah. That's where we are. But now, what actually set us apart and why we got engaged on this journey is what we see KAUST, we don't see a campus, a normal university campus. What we see is a small city, and this is a partial zenithal view of our city, right? So why do we call our city, and what are those things that we have in there? How do we live and work in there, right? So as you see here, that is the area where all the academics and the labs are located. So you see it's a 24 square kilometer area. We have a huge campus. I mean, those buildings are massive. The capacity and the number of people that works in there is quite important, right? But as you see, the rest is what we call the city of KAUST, right? So the first one is the town center. This is where all the students are living at. We have shops in there, a whole bunch of restaurants, not necessarily people that is working at KAUST. Pharmacy, clothes stores. There is a lot of activity going on in there. And then we have all the community area. This is where we have all the recreation centers. We have the clinic. We have our own supermarket, gas station, a school from nursery all the way to grade 12. We have, as you see, golf course. All the services that you might think that are required from a city-wise are there. We generate our water, the water that we consume, as well as a big percentage of the energy that we consume as well, right? We also have a research park area. That diagram is a little bit updated, but what is true, as you see here, we have buildings in there from Aramco, SABIC, Dow Chemical. We have a tier 3 commercial data center that is non-operated by KAUST. It's a commercial entity. And we have many startup companies that are located in there, right? So the approach is, okay, you graduate from here. If you have any idea of a business that you can think could be potentially moving forward, that's what we have the innovation cluster for, right? So there is people who is responsible to engage with the industry, to bring them in, and also to provide grants or to do entrepreneurship, how to promote that and make sure that KAUST is able to create more impact in the kingdom and in the world, right? And the final area that you can see from a city is surrounded by walls, by the way, so we have our own police. So the Saudi police doesn't go inside KAUST, right? So everything is all managed, and what that represents is that the president of KAUST is also the mayor of KAUST. Right? So anything that you need in order to handle the airspace, everything is managed within KAUST. So we don't have to go to the municipality to handle anything of that. We are on our own municipality. And here we have a compost plan as well, so we manage our own waste. The water is completely treated in there. So as you can see, it's a city, right? It's a small city. that we have in KAUST, and this is in terms of demographics, right? So it's a fairly young population as well, right? So we are around 8,330 residents. This is data from last year, but during the day, I mean, in a normal work day, we go above 10,000 people. That is the people that's actually coming from Jeddah or from the surrounding areas to work with us. One fun fact is that we have more students in the school. It's an IB school. As you see, we have around 2,300 students. University students-wise, we have only 1,500 students. So as they were saying this morning, we don't want to be the biggest university. We want to be among the best, right? And that's why we don't want to be growing too much. I mean, we're approaching the maturity in terms of size of students. Now, for the topic of today's conversation, what I really care is that you guys see that pie chart, the blue area, right? The blue area, as you see there, represents the number of people that is working at KAUST, that is living at KAUST, but are not employed by the university, okay? So this could be any housewife or any dependent that we have in living in KAUST, right? And why it's so important? Because as part of a university that was created in 2009, I was put in operation in 2 years. They were not the biggest part of the problem that the university was trying to solve at the time, right? So addressing those populations was always a challenge. And they are citizens of KAUST, but the way how they have been engaged historically has been below what you could expect from any other city, right? So in terms of where is people coming from, this is one of the things that I love the most about KAUST is that 120 nationalities that they're represented at KAUST. I mean, you got people from everywhere. I mean, in my team, the team that I manage, I think I have 6 nationalities, and we're a small team. My team is quite small. I have 10 people in my team. So we're all over. And of course, English is the first language, right? As you see, it's not my native language, but I mean, I think that we're doing a pretty good job in there, you know? And as you see, even now, countries that are close here to South Africa, Lesotho, Benin, they're also now part of the ecosystem of people that we have living and working with us in there. But now, that's regarding KAUST, a little bit of an intro, so you guys can get a grasp of understanding what is KAUST, you know? Back in 2019, I mean, the CIO with the president decided that KAUST, I mean, as I was saying, has a big room for opportunity to leverage those qualities of being a city and to transform ourselves into a smart city and a living lab, right? So they created the team that I belong to, which is called KAUST Smart. All we do is we create experiences based on digital tools, right? So we were created with 4 main goals, right? Make sure that KAUST was an immersive, user-centric place, and for that to transform into a smart city. The second thing that was requested from us was make a living lab of KAUST, you know? So as we don't have so much of red tape in here to be able to do things and to engage with the industry, bring the industry here so they can use KAUST as that place where they need to go and explore how technologies, how people can interact with it. Build that living lab, you know, so test new technologies, test new tools that could be utilized. And I'll share a little bit of what we have done in there, you know. Key, engage with partners and community. That ties quite well with the discussions that were held this morning, right? And we believe that we're the perfect place, right, to be testing all these kind of technologies. This is just a quick sample of the things that we have tested in there. As you see, we started with drones. There is a food company also in Saudi that is delivering food who wanted to be testing what this experience could be looking like, right? How can I use drone to really deliver something to the end user, you know? How will the end user be interacting with it? What are the consequences of doing this in a controlled environment? The second interesting experience that we did was autonomous shuttles, right? How could autonomous shuttles behave in a harsh environment like KAUST, right? Where the temperature rises so much and it's such a dusty environment. So how does it behave when there is people around it, right? So there was a lot of experiences or developing that was happening in there, right? The last one that is shown on the right side of the screen is how can we deliver packages with autonomous vehicle? That was done in collaboration with the Saudi government as well, right? So how does that vehicle, I mean, should be behaving, or how should that be approaching how the end user interacts? Should it park on the street? On which side should it open in order to ensure that its safety being considered in there, right? So this is more from a living lab point of view. But now what I'm really keen to talk to you guys about is the journey that we took when we look at this more from an experience orientation and how the KAUSTCentral ecosystem has been playing in there, you know? So as I've said in there, back in 2019, they created us and they told us this is your mandate. And we started with a small multidisciplinary team to get started to deliver this. And then we were wondering, okay, what do we do now? How do we get started, right? And this is where Andre came into the picture. We say, okay, the first thing that is important for us is look to our ecosystem of partners, how they can help us, as they were talking in the conversations this morning. So, Andre, do you want to please help us and drive us a little bit through here?
Yeah, thanks, Juan. Let me know if is the speaker working. You can hear me? Okay, perfect. So what you can see in the pictures on the left-hand side here is Juan gave us a call and said, hey, we've got to design some applications, and our kind of intention is that we're going to have this smart city, and so we're going to have to build the best application we possibly can. Come and tell us how we could possibly do that and create a vision. And that's, I think, a lot of what you heard today as well, about how do we create this vision, because everything seems impossible kind of before we start, right? And so what we did, and you can see us sitting up there in the top corner there on the picture, we sat in there with the team across all the different lines of business, and including the students, and said, what do you want, right? And of course, then in the design thinking, you can see all the stickers on the right-hand side about what was really important in phase one, what was important for phase two, maybe potentially what some of the students wanted, what the lecturers wanted, and all kind of different people wanted. And the intention is then to kind of map that out and put that together in terms of trying to create a vision of what was this app going to actually look and feel like. Once we had that first kind of look and vision of what potentially this smart app could do to fit inside the vision of the smart city, is we said to KAUST, why don't we go and see the best people in the world for this? Why don't we go speak to Apple? And so we invited Juan and the executive team to go to the executive briefing center at Apple. And what we did is we kind of took their ideas and their concepts, and we said, hey, we think we want to do these things, but what we really want to do is we want to test them with you to see if it's real, right? Because as you would know with any kind of project that you're going to build out, you really want to test to see if what you're going to do and build is actually going to work. So we thought the best way to go and test that is, let's go and speak to the guys at Apple, have a chat to them about what other universities around the rest of the planet were doing, and were we on the right track, and which way could we or should we go. Now, the benefit of that was then having all some of the other universities that feed into Apple on a daily basis, UCLA, all the other ones coming back saying, this will work, this won't work. Now, the benefit of that exercise was all of a sudden our vision was starting to come together about what could work in phase one, what could work in phase two, where to spend our time and effort. And so that was the plan for actually going testing that with Apple. What we did then, straight after we went to Apple Park, is we went to the SAP App House. And so now that we tested our vision in terms of what was possible, what we really wanted to see, if you can see us down in the bottom there, is what SAP products and solutions kind of now mapped into that vision that we could deliver our phase one, our phase two projects, right? And like I said, once again, that was important. And Juan will go into this later, and he'll show you how we started to map some of those things back straight up into the right-hand corner of what was actually wanted to what we can deliver. And so I think the important lesson that we took away from that is, use your ecosystem. And it wasn't just SAP. In this case scenario, we went to Apple and said, come and help us, right? We all need to understand this. And KAUST also wanted to kind of get that vision on paper to take back to the board to fund some of these projects, right? And it needed to be tested against people with credibility. And while we had the benefit of taking KAUST here to Apple Park and the San Francisco App House, I think the good thing that with inside of Africa, the App House exists here, the innovation centers sit here. So this kind of methodology about trying to build this vision before you start down this project is something that could also easily be done in Africa as well. And so with that, I'll hand back over to Juan, and he'll talk to you about how out of this vision actually came some of the applications.
Yeah. So now coming back to talk to you a little bit now, as Andrew was saying, that was the very beginning of the journey, right? Then what that helped us, all those trips, was to say, we need to build our own innovation methodology. it's good. We spoke with SAP, we spoke with Apple, we also spoke before with Cisco, we spoke with Amazon, we spoke with many people in our journey, right? But we would say, okay, this is how we should do things. These are the experiences where we should be putting our focus on. And then finally, this is how we should be engaging with the stakeholders. That I can tell you, can be your best allies, but it can also destroy everything that you want to do. And that's how we learn it a lot, right? So many times we have faced most of the issues with the stakeholders. This is a really high-level eagle view of the innovation methodology that we put in place. And we always start with an idea. So once we have the idea in place, then we run through this cycle. We say, okay, how can we align this with the rest of the stakeholders that we have in the university, right? Who do we need in order to make this happen, right? Keeping always in mind what we learn is user centricity. And user centricity, one key thing that we learned is not only about the end user, it's also about the business team that is providing the service. When at the very beginning of the journey, we failed by putting too much focus on the end user, and then the business team was saying, oh, not for me, this is not interesting, so they killed the whole engagement that we're having. So we designed the experiences using design thinking approach, and then we try to go through a prototype phase using different iterations. So we work everything that we do in sprints. This is the context of KAUST when we started. University created 2009. In 2 years, we were having students, a lot of resources. Time was short. So what you can achieve with that, right? So you create silos where everyone was basically owning their own service. So for the end user, the complexity was extremely high. So me as an end user, when you land in there, you say like, now I'm responsible to sort out the burden. You know, the burden of sorting this out is on my shoulders now. And as I was saying, the blue part of the chart is the community members. They were not considered. So it was very difficult to engage with them at any point in the journey, right? And the last part is the experience that you were having when you were interacting with each one of the departments was completely different. There was nothing that you could expect. So, well, yeah, if you talk to the people from government affairs, it's going to be a friendly environment. If you go and talk with IT, wow, it's going to be terrible. Or if you talk with community life, there is not going to be inequality, right? So based on this context and all the discussion that Andre was talking to us just a little bit ago, what we learned is, okay, you know what? We need to go over and create the KAUSTCentral ecosystem, the application ecosystem. The vision that we put forward when we were creating this was to say, we need to have one reference platform that is going to be used as a super app to access every type of experience that you have here at KAUST. So one app to rule everything, like in the Lord of the Rings, right? So, but also we're thinking in here to say, but we want to have an enabler as well. Why? Because the community for us is key. How do we engage with the people around us, so they can feel that they are part of the journey? So if they are part of the journey, they will be supporting us, that they will feel that this is also their own work. So then they will be looking forward to continue working with us, right? So this is a little bit the look and feel. The application is available in the App Store. The only thing is what we show, I mean, it depends. If you're logged, more icons are shown to you, right? So there is some vanilla 0-day features that you can see, like weather, you know, some kind of weather, the lens, which is basically the newspaper within KAUST, right? But the moment that you actually log in is when we start giving you more capabilities, all right? So talking about that, and this is my favorite slide in the whole presentation, right? Because when people see it's about KAUSTCentral, they say, okay, you guys are creating an app. Congratulations. I see an app and I see a lot of releases, right? And that's what the end users, we want them to see, right? But what we like them to be doing without them actually knowing is what's happening under the hood, right? Which is the first one. We want everyone in the community to be with us on this journey, right? If they are with us in the journey, they feel that they own it, and they're going to be happy to be users because they're going to be feeling proud of what is being shown there. The second point, as I'm saying, human centricity is key for us. We need to consider the real pain points. The worst thing that can happen is to have an IT guy to be designing the experience for the end user, right? We have done that many times, and it usually fails, right? So when we use human centricity, that is helping us because people feel that, oh, this is really having utility for me. It's really solving the problems that I have, right? Then agile developing, as I was saying, so we need to be continuously iterating and pivoting. When we don't get it right, we are happy that we learn from the failure, but we need to moving on. So we go, once that we have a big vision, we slice it, and we go with the small iterations to make sure that we deliver something. And what is most important for us, what is on the bottom, right? cross-functional collaboration, helping to break those silos and to make sure that it's people, everyone is working together, which has proven to be extremely difficult. Today, when I saw the first performance of the gentleman who was opening the SAPHILA and with the stairs, that he was going up and down the ladder, falling down, right? I felt like him at some part of the journey, right? Many times, okay, I'm falling down, but I'm coming back up, okay? So to us, that was always important. How to make sure that we engage all the stakeholders, that's always extremely important, to break those silos, because that's what we want. We want to shift the culture. That's how you can really achieve a digital transformation and create a smart city. You need to transform the culture of your organization. So in terms of capabilities that we're looking for, and again, this is what Sven was talking about this morning as well, right? I said, first, I need to know who you are. So I need to authenticate you to be able to provide you personalized services, right? So, and that goes with that blue part of the pie chart, right? 40% of our users, they are not having Active Directory. So we don't have an easy way how to authenticate them. So that was one of the first capabilities that we created using BTP, I mean, in this case, SAP, to be able to provide that functionality in there. And we're in the process now to migrate to something newer, right? So notifications, once that I know who you are, now I should be able to talk to you and to give you information that we believe is relevant, but we should also give you the opportunity to set your preferences. So if there is an event, I only need to notify you about the events that you care about, or I need to be able to give you the opportunity to define what items in the menu you want to see. So for us, defining the preferences is extremely important. Definitely to be able to listen and to learn from there. So we always, after every engagement that you do with the application, we're giving you the opportunity to give us any feedback, or you can create proactive feedback. And the last, as you see there, is online payment. So we don't want to be in the path of the money, because that will set us to be PCI compliant and to do many more things. What we do is that we integrate with Center with different payment gateways, so we can facilitate how to integrate retailers in the whole journey. I want to talk fairly quickly about 3 key capabilities that we have put in the app, or that is work in progress, right? The first experience that we put forward is how can we create a smart office experience in KAUST, right? So this is a beautiful project that is right now in piloting phase. So we did the POC, and now we're moving on now to real pilot, where we're going to be having at the very beginning like 300 users on different offices, right? So the context is we have a very, very strong building management system that is able to manage a lot of sensors that we have in the university, or manage the AC, all right? They have an extremely complex key management system, but the experience for us as an end user is quite limited. So 8 o'clock in the morning, the AC goes on. Either you go to the office or not. 5 p.m., it shuts down, right? So 50% of the energy that we consume at KAUST goes by the ACs. So what we're trying to approach is how can we create a much better experience for anyone who is going to go to be using his office, right? So we say, okay, how about if we create a key that we create an electronic key, so you now open the door using the application, and we program the building management system not to start the AC until you don't open the door. So it's easy to say, right? But then it came the integration approach. Okay, what is appropriate key chain that is going to be working in there? Should we use cables or not? Definitely no cables, because if you need to put a cable to this amount of thousands of offices, it's a lot of money, right? So we're able to integrate that functionality, and we're hoping to reduce by 20 to 30% our energy consumption, because we have identified that many people doesn't go to the offices early morning. And what is also more important, our colleagues from facility management did not have a view how the offices were being utilized. So now they're going to get data. And once that they have data, they can do a much better office space planning. So we're trying to close the loop in here. And this is just the first iteration. How do I control the lights, the AC? How can I delegate access to my office to somebody else? So that's something that we're including. And the POC was successful. Now looking forward to continuously look at all the use cases. How now will the fire department be interacting with it? If there is an emergency issue, right? How are they going to open the offices? Because now they have a master key. So all these use cases we're looking for, but the important thing for us is that the experience is defined and it seems to be working. Second use case is, again, as part of identifying who you are and provide you a coherent experience all around KAUST, is we digitalize our ID at KAUST, right? So to enter KAUST, you need to issue a QR code. But when you went to recreation facilities, you had to use a different tool. And when you get on the bus, you have to use a completely different functionality as well. So now what we're aiming for is to consolidate everything within the KAUST ID. And now what we're looking for is to allow you also to open the doors to the buildings, not the office, now the buildings, and to enable you to print. And if you want to use any service within our city, then you can identify with that single QR code that is available in the application that you have on your phone. And the last use case that I want to share with you guys today, I mean, there are many capabilities that we have created, right? It's call scammer. You know, this call scammer is something that now is really annoying. When you're in Saudi, you start receiving phone calls. And you can imagine in such a place with 120 nationalities, somebody calls you on the phone and says, good morning, I'm calling you from the Minister of Interior. I'm going to send you an OTP. I need you to give me the OTP, please. People falls into that. And what happens immediately, they steal their identity and they wipe the bank accounts. And there have been people who has lost quite interesting amount of money, right? Talking about people, I know someone who lost $30,000 because of that single movement in the account, right? So we're trying to create a mechanism by which we create awareness to all the community members, but we also identify when you have an incoming call to tell you this is known as a good source or has been reported previously as a scammer, so please don't pick it up. Yes, some people might not be willing to accept to have that online, in line to be telling you if the call is good or bad. What we're also putting as well is a capability by which you can check the number. So you can go, if you don't want that to be done proactively to you, you can do reactive and then call back the user. But what we care about is to create awareness to the people and allow them to personalize the experience that they want to have so they feel completely comfortable with it. In terms of topology, this is what we are doing. So yes, we're working in the app as a front end. We are doing our first iterations on the kiosk as well, especially as a wayfinding capability. Our campus is quite complex. It's a big place, so we need to enable people also to find the destination to where they want to go. We leverage the IT infrastructure. As an architect, we don't want to be duplicating functionalities, right? So we say, what can we use that our IT colleagues already have that we can use and is being managed, right? So we identify that SAP is the right place where we can host or the intelligence, and that's where the logic is for those 5 capabilities hosted at. But then as a super app, the worst thing that we can do, such a small team, is to try to own all those services, right? We don't want to own a single service. So what we're doing is we are interacting with external systems or with systems that are connected within KAUST, while we empower all the business teams to continue to manage the service as they are doing that today. So last slide. I know that we're just about run out of time, but I wanted to share this with you. I mean, the takeaways from our journey, right? So the first point that I want to say is important for us. You need to develop your own innovation methodology. Yes, you're going to listen. You're going to get advice from multiple people, but you need to contextualize. Put it within your context, so that will guarantee you more success, right? Because what happened, as I mentioned this morning, technology is actually very simple. What is very complicated is people. So stakeholder management is a fundamental thing, and you need to be able to find who requires more hugs and kisses and who is okay to be having a low level of engagement to make sure that you're successful. Ecosystem of vendors, key to drive you into success. And as Andrea was explaining, for us, the App House and SAP was extremely helpful. And we're very happy that we engaged with them on this part of the journey, especially at the very beginning. Adopt a step-by-step approach, extremely key. Don't try to do everything at once. You have to be conscious. There will always be a lot more than what you can do. So it's better that you go step by step, that you slice the experience implementation. Stay committed to your vision. This comes along with that guy at the very beginning. You're gonna feel like you're falling down the whole time, but stay committed to it. You're gonna be able to achieve. I mean, it's having the right vision and going for that vision. It took us time. I believe that now we're in the right track after a couple of years. It is true that the pandemic was there in the middle that slowed us down, but I'm sure that now we're working on capabilities that are key for the university and are being appreciated as part of a smart city engagement. Don't be afraid to fail. It's going to happen no matter what, even if you don't want to. Just learn from it. And the last but not least is be patient. Changing a culture in a place is not going to be an easy thing to do. So it's taking us time. We're not there yet, but we're committed to our vision and we're looking forward. So thank you so much. I very much appreciate your time and being here with us. Happy to share with you anything. If you have any questions, happy to talk to you guys.